Hi, I'm Mr. Huber, and in this video I would like to have a look at the sine, cosine, and tangent value for 60 degrees or pi thirds. Okay, 60 degrees in the degree measure, pi thirds in the radian measure. Look, this is a 60-degree angle here, 60 degrees. And obviously, this will be cosine, sine here. This is going to be sine. So what's the length of the blue line segment? And what's the length of the red line segment? Here we go. So now for that, we're going to introduce this line. And it's quite easy because now you have an equilateral triangle, a triangle where all the sides are of equal length because you have 60 degrees here. You have one here, you have one here. That means that you have a 60-degree angle here and a 60-degree angle up here, okay? Now, you can work out the height and you can work out this. But look, first, you don't have to work out this down here, the cosine, because it's just 0.5. That's clear. If the radius is 1 and you have a 60-degree angle, okay, you have a 60-degree angle now up here. You have one here and one here. Then clearly these two angles are 180 minus 60 degrees divided by 2. Okay, so these two are 60 degrees too. So it's an equilateral triangle. And when you draw the height in an equilateral triangle, well, this will be 0.5. That's very obvious. Well, this is slightly harder to work out. So that's the height. Height squared plus 1/2 squared is 1 squared. So this squared plus this squared is this squared. We've calculated things like these many times. So height squared is 1 squared minus 1/2 squared. Well, no one would ever write it like this. So h is now 1 minus 1/4. 1 minus 1/4 is obviously the square root of 3/4. You could write it as the square root of 3 over the square root of 4, which is the square root of 3 over 2. So the height is square root of 3 over 2. So you could say sine of 60 degrees is the square root of 3 over 2. That's the blue line. Cosine of 60 degrees is 0.5 or 1/2. And tangent, well, tangent of 60 degrees is obviously opposite over adjacent. Well, let's do it here. Opposite, square root of 3 over 2 over 1/2. That's just the square root of 3. Now, when you use this table, let's use this table and put in the values. Well, sine of 60 degrees or pi thirds is the square root of 3 over 2. Well, this one cosine is 1/2. And tangent of 60 degrees is the square root of 3. Now, please, where can we see the radian measure here? Well, the radian measure is obviously this here. That's the radian measure. For a 60-degree angle, this will be pi thirds. Because look, 180 degrees corresponds to pi, because the circumference corresponds to 2 pi, one full rotation. So half a rotation is pi, and 60 degrees is a third of that, so this is pi thirds. So you can say sine of pi thirds when in the radian measure is the square root of 3 over 2. Cosine of pi thirds is 1/2, and tangent of pi thirds is the square root of 3. So how would you do this with a calculator? Look, it's very easy. Sine of 60 degrees. This is what you get, the square root of 3 over 2. Now, how would you do it with pi thirds? Well, for that, you have to tell your calculator that you don't work in the degree measure, you're going to work in the radian measure. For that, we need to reset the mode. You have here degree 3 and 4 radian measure. So you go to 4. Now you have a little tiny r up here that says it's the radian measure now. And look, sine of pi thirds is now the square root of 3 over 2. So you have to tell your calculator whether you're working in the degree measure or radian measure. So let's set it back to the degree measure. Okay, shift setup, and then you go to the degree measure. Now you have a little tiny d up here. So please, there is one important thing. Look, you have deg for degree, rad for radian measure, and GRA for grad, okay? But this is not the grad we want, okay? Well, degree in Gradrechnung, radian measure, Radiant in German. Well, the grad here, which is in German, although it's an English calculator, or it's set to English, it means that 90 degrees are the right angle. The 90 degrees we know are in the grad measure, they are 100 degrees. So we never use this. You only need degree 3 or 4 radian measure. Never mistake it for grad here, GRA. So please don't look at that. It's only degree measure and radian measure. And you have to tell your calculator whether you're working in degrees or in the radian measure. Hope it wasn't too difficult. See you on the next one.